What's up, everybody? Just kidding. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Seven Figure Photographer Live. I forgot to hit the mic button before I said that. So, hope you guys are all doing well. It is beautiful Monday. It's a little bit windy here, but we have beautiful sunny skies, which is a nice change because it has been crazy weather over here in the west. I don't know, has the snow been crazy on the East Coast as bad as like?
They've had tornadoes and
Oh.
psycho stuff.
Well, that's not good either. But here we've just had crazy, like long winter weather. It keeps snowing. Like it snowed last week, didn't it? Yeah, it snowed last week, and then it was like 70 degrees the other day. So it's been a little bit crazy. But I'm glad to be here. Glad that you guys are here with us. Today we're going to do a Q&A or an Ask Sam Anything. But I've also got a few things I want to talk about. As I was running home to get one of my cameras, I had some thoughts that I wanted to just kind of throw out there. So for those of you who are watching, make sure to comment, tell us who you are and where you're from, or say hi. Most of you guys we know, so it's not like we don't know where you're from anyway. Other than that, there was something else I was going to say, but I guess we will jump into a quick intro. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you guys are on, if you aren't able to comment, make sure that if you followed the link and it says open app up at the top, if you're on your phone, click the open app and log into YouTube, and that will allow you to actually comment on all of our stuff today. Mia is here with us. Will everybody say hi to Mia? There you go. Hi, Mia. So make sure that if you have any comments, comment, and Mia will reply to them, or she will also relay the questions to us. If you happen to have, and Mia, will you throw this phone number in there? If you happen to have a question that you don't necessarily want everybody to know that it's you asking, maybe you want to ask an awkward or a random question that, well, not awkward. Well, yeah, awkward questions, send them to this number. That way you won't be outed on who you are and the question that you have. But the phone number is 208-328-5263. Also, it's the same number that if you got a text message letting you know about this, that's the same number. You can just reply to it and ask your question. And we won't tell people who's asking the question. We'll just read the question and do our best to answer it. So before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into a quick introduction, and we will be right back. What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sam Marvin, and I have been in the photography industry for 25 plus years. While I love being a creative, business is my passion, and elevating the industry of photography is my focus. I created the Seven Figure Photographer to share my journey to seven figures and to help others find their way too.
That's amazing.
All right, we are back. So, like I said, today we're going to do a Q&A. We're going to talk about, and these never go that great, but this is, in all fairness, this is lazy Sam couldn't come up with a topic, so he decided to do a Q&A. And sometimes it's fun. Like, it's good. Like, I got to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions like that maybe other people might have. And it's good. Like, don't be afraid. There's no dumb question. And I hopefully don't ever make people feel like there's dumb questions, but I guess I probably could.
I'm with a dumb question.
You're going to try to come up with a dumb question? Okay, well, you might get cut off. We can always mute Mia. So, other than that, that's what we're going to talk about today. And so, Jeanette Cameron, there is a name I have not seen before. Hello, I was invited by Laquita. I'm just learning. I'm a rookie. Well, welcome, Jeanette. We're glad to have you here. And hopefully we can share some insight with you. And so now, Jeanette, a question for you. You say that you're a rookie. Are you wanting to get into it as a business, or are you wanting to just kind of keep it a hobby, more or less a hobby option? Is that hobby, be a hobbyist? I don't know. I'm terrible at this question game. So while we're waiting for Jeanette to answer that question, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and this is something that like I've kind of noticed. So I'm sure you guys all remember that moment when the world was shut down for 2020, right? I very, very specifically remember it. In fact, I was trying to decide on who I was going to hire for, well, Mia's position. And I was going through a whole, in fact, I had a bunch of interviews that day.
Yeah.
And I got in the car and I literally had just rounded the corner and I was like, I think we got a notification that church was being canceled for the weekend. And I was like, oh shit, this is the church and then oh shit. I was like, wow, this is like, if church is being canceled, like this is serious. So I remember that moment, and I, like, after the weekend was over and everything was still shut down, it really started to sink in, like, oh crap, like, what are we going to do? Like, this is like, how is this going to all work? And so, ultimately for me, we had multiple businesses in this building. We needed, like, if everything got shut down, it was going to be painful. Of course, there was help and stuff that came through, but I remember, like, that year we fought like hell to make sure that it was a good year, and we had our best year we've ever had. Okay. Other photographers, not so much. Many other photographers really struggled during that year. And I think that was kind of like I want to say that was like because I don't think that the people that struggled were like bad character by any stretch.
Nope.
But I think how they dealt with it was kind of their, because, and there is a lot, I think, to geographically, because like California,
Yes.
like there's nothing
they could do.
There was nothing they could do. We kind of went against some of the rules here in Idaho, and we went out anyway, even though the governor finally came out and said, okay, things like services like photographers, since you're outside, you can do it. But there was a lot of people shaming photographers,
Yes.
like a lot of other photographers shaming photographers for going out and doing it. But what I'm getting at was that I feel like our industry kind of had like this uptick of people that were like, because there was a lot of fear generated that, like, if you didn't get pictures taken before now, like, you might have lost your opportunity, like your family members might die and you may never get a picture of them, right? I feel like a lot of our business that year came out of that sense of urgency or that sense of fear that happened. And so, but it also came from, and again, this I think has a lot to do with the geographical area. All of our kids were like shut down on sports,
Right.
shut down on everything. And so people had a lot of expendable income that they were no longer spending on all these expensive sports and travel that they could spend on photography. Obviously, a big portion of it is that we were dealing with seniors, which is kind of like a different industry for that. But what I'm trying to get at was I feel like it was almost like a cry for, or like the boy who cried wolf. Like, people did it that year and made up for it because it was like this fear. But now it's almost like people have gotten to the point where they're like, oh, well, like, everybody freaked out then, but it's obviously, and it's almost like taking this lull, this huge lull. People don't seem as, obviously it's still there. The business is still there, but more and more seniors have kind of been like, yeah, I don't care about senior pictures. Like, we saw that a lot last year. We've heard about it this year, but I think that it's, of course, this year, we're seeing the results of a lot of people way behind.
And these kids didn't have a high school career.
Yeah. And so, I still think that our seniors currently had a little bit, not as bad as the year before. Like, it wasn't as bad as the year before. I know they're kind of on the tail end. I know you do. But I still see it a little bit differently. But it's still, there's definitely some of that. There's a lot of it that does exist in all that. But I almost feel like we're experiencing this, like, almost like I'm not going to fall for that trick again kind of thing. And almost like people, and I don't know what the shift is. This was just kind of like a general, like, thought that came into my head. And I was like, man, I wonder, like, if that had anything to do with it. Because there was such, especially in the very beginning of the COVID situation, there was such a huge scare for, like, portraits. Like, people were doing portraits on the porch, or what was it called? Like,
yeah, I think I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just kind of one of my observations, and I know you kind of feel differently as far
I
as
do.
like kids don't, or they didn't necessarily have a high school career. Um, I just think it was a different than ever, obviously,
Well,
experience.
obviously.
Yeah, clearly. So, um, so Jeanette came back, and we can kind of go back into that here in a second. Jeanette came back. She said, "Start out as a hobby. If I am able to learn enough and I'm good at it, I would like to have a side hustle." Okay, and that's great because that's pretty much where everybody starts.
But yeah.
A lot of people get into it just as a hobby. They love it, and then people say, "Oh, you do really good at this." Pretty soon, you're working really hard for nothing, and then you realize that, man, I should be making some money at this because otherwise, it's either my time or the money, or my time or my time
Yeah.
or money, and so people start charging for it. So the one thing I can tell you, Jeanette, is get your pricing in check. Understand what time it will end up taking away from you, and what that time is worth to you. Even before you get too heavily into the hobby aspect of it, so you understand where, because it seems like photographers always are making up for the pain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we're always like, we get into something, we do it, and then we realize, crap, I mean, I'm kind of in that same position right now. I've been working so much, and now I'm realizing that, man, I haven't had, I've worked all this so that my kid could have this, but then I'm realizing that it's taking all this time away from my kid, and so ultimately, but then I can't get him to do anything with
I
me
think
anyway.
you're also pretty slow though when you first start out, or at least
Yeah.
I'm still pretty slow. And then you get more in the habit, like you can get editing done faster, you
Yeah.
shoot faster, you pose faster. So that will
And-
all change too.
And I think so much of it comes from necessity. We find out, oh, well, I got to figure out how to do this because of, for instance, editing. That's one of those, one of the hardest things. And that's why I think that shooting for free in the very beginning for photographers, like, especially if you're getting into portraiture or something like that, there's a lot of people that get really angry about it or upset. But I think that it's really vital because what it allows you to do is it allows you to get a lot of experience.
Yes.
And it allows you to create your own style. And when you're not shooting enough, your style bounces around so much. Like, because you're like, one time you just decide you want to try this. Like, if you go to my Facebook, this is disgusting. But if you go to my Facebook and you look back to 2010,
Maybe I should just find some.
some of the
and post them.
pictures there are atrocious. Like, I had this really funky, like, cool tone thing where I would desaturate a lot, but just like
Yeah.
the blue tones. It was really, I don't know what the heck I was thinking. Anyway, it's
You
embarrassing.
were finding your style.
Yeah, but that really is what it is. And then I started shooting a lot more, and I did find my style, or kind of. I mean, it's more or less just, my stuff's pretty basic. Like, there's not a whole lot. Like, I don't have any crazy style to it. Like,
No, not really.
but it's just kind of a timeless style, if you will.
Yeah.
So,
Classic.
classic. That's kind of what I go. I don't typically, and that's another thing that a lot of photographers go through is the whole trend. Like, they find their style, but then their style hits a trend point, where, for instance, like heavily backlit, or we've gone through really the blue phase, the orange phase, like the super yellow phase. Like, we've gone through all those different phases, and at some point your style matches up with the trend, and all of a sudden you take off. A lot of times, that's not for everybody. That's kind of what happened for me, I think. It just so happened that at one point in time, and I think it's because I was doing the hair and makeup, and I was doing the outdoor shoots and stuff like that, and there was a need for it at the time because it was popular. It was, as social media was getting really popular, like Instagram had just kind of come online, and everybody wanted to be famous. So now everybody's like hiding everything from the world.
Yep.
It's kind of bizarre. And so that changes. But in photography, we do a lot out of necessity because of like challenges or pain points in the business, such as like learning pricing, because we're like,
So tired and
we're tired
overwhelmed.
of working for free. And that's really what it boils down to. So those are some things. I don't know. That's kind of a lot of jumbled. But for those of you who are on here, I know we have more than Jeanette on here. So those of you who are on here, please say hi. Let us know that you're here. And let's jump into questions like that people specifically have. Did you come up with anything?
I had a question, but then you started talking, and now it's gone.
Oh, so my talking just ruined your...
Yeah.
Okay, well, for that, let's just put Mia on the camera.
Okay, no, that's not.
Come up with your question, Mia. No, nothing?
Nope.
Anything?
Nope, not yet.
Bueller?
I'll figure it out.
Bueller?
Somebody else has to
Misty's here. Hi, Misty. I miss you. I missed you.
I miss you, Misty.
It was fun getting to hang out with Misty and her husband and at Sync. They're good people. Okay, I'll switch back from you. So, yes, questions. What question? Are you going to go to the cards?
I'm going to redo what I was doing when I got my question.
You're going to redo what you were doing when you got your question. What were you doing?
I was going to the cards, and then I was like, I don't want to use the cards today. And I had a question. It's not here, though.
It's not there. Mia has lost her questions. Is that technically the same as losing your mind?
I'll find a question on one of these.
Okay, find me a question. Okay, guys, come up with some questions. I don't care what they are. They could be goofy. They don't even have to be about photography. Just don't embarrass me, please. Too much. Where's Tim? The heck?
He's probably recuperating from Shutterfest.
Oh, boring. Did anybody else go to Shutterfest this weekend? Misty, did you go to Shutterfest? I shouldn't be drinking Diet Coke except for when I switch to your face. Okay, what's your question?
What's your favorite thing you've bought this year?
My favorite thing I haven't really bought anything this year.
What? We need that little minion to come running across.
Have I bought anything this year?
I don't know.
I don't think I have. I got a 360 camera for my birthday.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I haven't used it very much, but it's really cool. It's just like, it's the thing that Tim has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeanette wants to know if there are any classes that you would recommend for beginners.
Any classes I would recommend for beginners? Yes, honestly, the biggest suggestion I would give you, and so many photographers would probably backseat this, but Creative Live. Go to creativelive.com, and what they do is they have classes that are they're they're online and they're live for free if you watch them at the time of, and then if you miss them all, you can buy them for pretty inexpensive. YouTube is a great resource. As far as specific classes, man, it's been a long time since I've looked for anything. As
I say just go shoot.
Yeah, go shoot.
I
I know that PP of Idaho, Professional Photographers of Idaho, which I'm sure Laquita has already shared with you. That's a great resource. Like they're doing fun shoots. Like they got one coming up on the 14th at a local farm, which it's in the middle of the day, which kind of...
I would say those aren't really classes though. They don't really...
Yeah, but it still is really good to shoot with other people.
Yes, but...
it helps you learn quickly. And it's good to not be afraid to shoot with other photographers like I am. Okay, so Misty says, this is my busy season. I can't do anything. And she says, I just shot and my white balance is off. I can't seem to get it right in Photoshop either. Okay, well, here's a fun... maybe I could do a quick tutorial on that. So, Misty, you use Photoshop, not Lightroom? I bought a camera that is too advanced for me at this point. Okay, Jeanette, so...
finish with Misty.
Okay, I'm going to finish with Misty, but I need her to tell me if she uses Lightroom at all. She says yes. Okay, I'm going to come back to that in just a sec. Jeanette, if you have... Tell me what camera you have, and if it has the little green square or program on it. This is kind of like an easy technique. I don't even have a camera that I can hold up and show you. So in any situation when you're taking pictures, turn it to the green square, see what the camera tells you for your ISO, like what it sets it to based on the internal light meter of it, and then change it to manual and adjust to those same settings, and then adjust like up and down from there. Okay, let me see if I can get my Lightroom started here and show you a quick.
She uses Bridge, not Lightroom.
Oh, not Lightroom, but Bridge. I think I don't have Bridge.
So you'll have to come back to that tutorial.
Yeah. So, Misty, one thing that we do, I know that Michelle does for that, is she takes, and I don't know how much you can do, because Lightroom and Bridge are almost identical. Like, they work pretty much the same. And if you go into the I gotta think how to say this so that I don't like give her wrong directions. But basically, if you find your white balance adjustment or your Kelvin adjustment on, which is your warmth, if you find that in Camera Raw and you take the eyedropper tool and find the most true white point in the photo, and then you can adjust it up and down from there until your RGB values, I believe it's the RGB values. Is that what it is?
I can't think of it that way. I'm a visual person.
Let me look at the, well, and I was going to show her, but it won't make any sense if I show her on here. Let me go to Develop, Tools, and then if I go to the eyedropper tool, oops. Yeah, so it's the red, green, blue values. If you hold the eyedropper over the RGB over the whitest point, like true white, not blown out white, but the true whitest point in a photo or closest to white, and then get your RGB values to be as close to the same as you can. For instance, let me see if I can find a picture that open recent catalog that I can show you what I'm talking about on this, and it might make a little bit more sense. So I saw Jeanette got the R6. Is that what it was? Mm-hmm. I have a Canon EOS R6. That is an incredible camera. Honestly, it's great. Apparently, I don't use Lightroom on my computer enough. I don't do any of the edits.
I was going to say, you don't use any of the edits.
And so, anyway, but yeah, I would definitely do that, Jeanette. Just go and choose, because I'm pretty sure it has the green square, which is basically your basic, basic setting, like your basic auto. That's what I was looking for. It's telling me that I gotta upgrade in order for it to work. So, oh, there it worked. Okay. Oh, look, it's a picture of Tim Schmidt. Okay, so I'm gonna share this real quick and see if this is helpful. I'm gonna screen mirror to that. I gotta wait till my Apple TV comes on. Okay, so now if I swap over here, okay, there's my floating head. Okay, so this is what I mean by this. The file could not be found. Great. Yeah, we'll go right here. Okay, so, well, this one's going to be a hard one, so it makes it even more fun. And it's not going to let me do anything because the... Okay, let me import a picture real quick. Let's just find a random picture. Oh, I don't know if I don't have any like regular pictures on my. Oh, here's tween photos. Maybe that'll work, except for they're already white balanced. whatever. We're going to do it. Just so that I can show you an example of what we're doing here. And so you can understand. So we'll go with that one. And I'll import. And I hope I don't get in trouble for Annie for using her daughter, because it just, I should use your daughter because you're here and you can give me permission.
I can give you permission.
Whatever. I'm in here. So in Camera Raw, you're going to grab the eyedropper tool when you're dealing with color and temperature. So let's just like throw this picture off for fun. This is obviously like blown out right there. But this should be some true white right there. So if I grab this eyedropper tool and I hover over this true white, you can see at the very bottom of that target, you can see the RGB values. And then you can just adjust up and down. I'm going to go down until those three values are the closest to one another that I can get them. So at a point, they'll start going the opposite direction. So as you can see, the blue value started bumping up to like 90. So if we go to like right there, 84, 81, and 83, those are kind of like the closest points. And it actually, obviously right there, shows that that's where we had it white balanced at before. I could actually come to, you can use like the whites of an eye if you can find it. I can actually use this right here, except for it's got a lot of blue tint to it. But you basically just want to find a white point and adjust it until your RGB is the same. Now, the only downfall to that is I don't know if it works the same in Camera Raw, because I use the up and down arrows to adjust those values to get them as close to possible as we can. And I tell you that was terrible. I tell you that because that's what I taught my wife to do in editing. She does a great job at color balancing, but I'm not an expert on it. So anyway, that's that. I hope that was helpful and not just annoying, because it might have just thrown you off. Let's hope not. Okay. We're going to close that and skip this time. Okay, so we got, what questions do we got? We got a lot of
How about share a time-saving tip?
A
business, like a photo business related time share.
Who's asking that one? Is that
me?
That's you? A time-saving tip? Are you asking me this just because I suck at time?
I'm asking this because nobody else is asking a question.
Okay.
And it's one of the ones I found.
Time-saving tip. Well, be proactive, not reactive. That does. Okay, it saves a lot of time.
It does. But
okay,
like, give
so
them
time-saving
that
tip.
they can actually apply
okay,
or
so
do.
one thing that we try to do that I think does save a lot of time, and it's hard for us to like see it because we've been doing it now for a long time, and I think when you start doing things and you have like those, like we have a lot of systems and processes in place that like I don't think we really reflect on it and realize how much like it really does for us. Because like if you took this business and took a lot of the stuff out of it, we would be a disaster. Like, and I know you might think we're still a disaster, but I can promise you this, some of the businesses I've seen.
I'm not saying anything. I don't know.
No,
why
I'm just simply saying. So, for instance, one of the things that we started doing a long time ago, and we changed up the schedule to where we only work weekdays, not weekends. So that was a huge thing that saves time. And I know a lot of photographers still think that that's the only time they can shoot is on the weekends. I get for those who have jobs, like that's kind of the only time. But we only do sessions during the week, and we only shoot on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we have our admin day on Mondays, which Mondays have gotten really busy kind of lately. And then we have Friday is kind of like Friday is set to take the day off unless we have to kind of like make up for stuff. And so I don't know that you would call that time blocking.
Yeah.
Would that be time blocking?
Absolutely.
And you can get a lot more in depth with that. Like for instance, some of the stuff that I try to do, and I'm not going to claim that I'm amazing at this, but I try to like focus on my emails and my Trello first thing in the morning when I get in, and that way like I can look at like the things that need to be done instead of just getting stuck in other crap. And so that kind of helps me try to make sure that I get stuff done. And then sometimes I just like forget to look at Trello, and then I realize that there's a lot of stuff in there.
It's like that story that you used to tell about the guy that goes into the woods to chop down the trees, and he's in a competition. Yeah, and he spends like the first 30 minutes or hour sharpening his saw, and then he goes out and does it or something. I remember you telling that story.
So the story is actually I think there's 3 guys in the competition to see who can cut down the most trees. And so this one guy jumps in, and he's sharpened his saw, and he jumps in, he just starts cutting down trees, and he's going as fast as he can go, and he's just laying one tree down after another. And he looks over and notices the other guy 30 minutes into the day is sitting down and he's sharpening his saw. And he's like, that crazy idiot, like, why didn't he do that before he got out here? And so then he just keeps sawing down trees, and he looks over 30 minutes later or an hour later and sees the guy sitting down sharpening his saw again. What he doesn't realize is the guy takes the time to resharpen his saw every little bit of time, and he is more efficient at cutting down trees. And so ultimately the story goes basically that the guy that sharpens his saw won because he took the time to sharpen his skills instead of just like neglecting them, if you will, or thinking that. And that is huge in our business. Like, I think that it's something I always talk about is education. And I think that sharpening your skills, like, I've seen huge experiences in my life or in my business where we let things go. Today is a perfect example of it, talking about like SEO on the escape room website. We had like the worst weekend we've ever had in the escape room this weekend, and I was like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand. And so Mia looked into the SEO aspect of it, and she's like, well, it's not that you're really doing anything different. It's just that everybody else is working on their SEO,
and you're not.
And I haven't done anything with the SEO on the escape room website for years. And so when you really think about it, let's just say 10 people on any given day in Boise, Idaho are looking for an escape room. Well, if 2 other escape rooms are doing the work to stand out on the street corner and say, hey, look at me, then they're going to get the attention of those 10 people better than somebody that's tucked back off the road or doesn't have any signs out or anything like that. And so, yeah, it's important to. Tim's finally here, and he says you all can start now. Oh, you already commented to him. So yeah, sharpening your saw is really important, and it's good to pay attention to those things because like when we dove into it today, like looking at the historical records of it, we actually started to drop off in December for our SEO, which means that other businesses have been doing better at their SEO. And so that's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is good to know because I need to jump in and start doing things. And that was actually something last week I was going through and I was looking at other escape room businesses, and they all have a lot more rich like photos on their website, and mine doesn't have hardly jack. Because I just originally when I built it just to get by, more or less. And so that was actually something last week. I was like, man, I'm going to go take some pictures because I know a photographer.
You know a few of them.
I know a few photographers. And I'm going to go take some pictures and try to enrich the website a little bit and change some stuff up. As well as like I was talking to Michelle the other day, and I was like, you know what? We really should, because we have these really just dumb, like I hate them. The pictures after people go through the room, they stand in front of the background, and I was like, it's kind of really just dumb. Like it's the pictures are terrible, they're boring, and so I was like, why don't we have them take the pictures of the people in the room? Because the rooms are theme rich, they're exciting, more exciting, except for the murder room, it's like yellow and boring. And the reason we never did that is because we were afraid people would like look at the clues and stuff, and I was like,
If people are going to take the time to do that, let
Yeah,
them.
like, and that's what we decided. We're like, yeah, if people decide that they're going to take the time to do that and try to cheat, then who cares?
They still have to come
the
to the
idea
escape
is
room to
that
play.
the idea is that pictures are going to get more people there. So, so that's all interesting. Okay, so Misty has a question. She says, "What's the best SEO advice?" So I'm going to give you mine, and then I'm going to let Mia give you hers because she's a lot better at SEO. My best advice would simply be ask Mia.
I was not expecting
There's Mia. So my best advice, honestly, would probably be just this isn't really SEO, but it does help SEO, and that's Google reviews and updating your Google business page will help
your authority.
drive. Yeah, it is. It's search engine optimization.
Yeah.
So those are like probably the easiest things to do. Post pictures and update your Google business page and make sure it's verified. Like those are all really good things. It's amazing how many people aren't verified. And what I mean by verified, like if I go, well, I'm not gonna link it again, but it just gives you the little blue check mark and it says that you're verified. If you have questions about that, reach out to me and I'll take a look at your Google business profile, and because that's something that I do a lot of, and I'll tell you like things you can do. Updating phone numbers, adding like booking questions in there, adding chat in there. All of those things help with your SEO. And then as far as on the website, I'm going to let Mia talk about that because she's a little better with that, like keywording and stuff like that on the website. So now it's you.
SEO is huge. I think that's the first thing you need to understand, and you can't just jump in and do it. But I think as a photographer, you have all those pictures, and those are huge assets. So I would say going down that line, every photo that you upload, you have to rename it. It can't just be like, ours are like SMP-012-GE because it's a general edit from whatever session we're in, right? That means nothing. But if you take that and you put high school senior in Boise, Idaho, taken by Samuel Marvin in a cute spring dress, there you go. That alone, all of those are individual keywords that will just help. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing that you could do right now. Every day you could go back and you could pick 5 photos that you put up on your website that I bet you didn't rename and just do that. And that would make a huge difference. Now, the other thing with SEO though is you're not going to see the difference. Like we were going through the SEO.
It takes forever.
You're not going to see it in a weekend. You're not going to see it in a month. It's going to be at least 2 to 3 months before you see any sort of change. 1 year to real change. You
started out working on the SEO because last year we actually made you had specific goals to raise us up.
Yeah.
And you started on that and we're kind of like working on it month or week over week.
Yeah.
And we saw results like starting to change like 6 months later.
I was going to say, yes, probably 5 to 7 months is about when you'll see actual results.
It's kind of terrifying to think that it's that, but you have
that
to
makes
do
sense.
it.
So just like what Sam was saying earlier, he noticed that there was a big drop this weekend, but when we went on, the actual drop started in December. Mm-hmm. And this weekend was just kind of like...
It bottomed out.
Yeah, it just hit the bottom.
I hate to bring this up because I don't want to scare people, but we had to look at it as like, okay, well, what did you do differently this week?
Yeah.
And I did change some things on the website this week, and I did run an ad for the first time in a long time from Google, and I mean, it is kind of speculative, but we did have some question about, did Google stifle the website because we're running ads and they want us to push more ads? Yeah. So I think obviously Google would never admit to something like that, but it was a direct, like, I mean, I looked at the day that I started the ad and when it really started to tank, and it was the same day.
Yeah.
So
Can I come back on real quick? Missy has a follow-up. So she's asking, does Pinterest really help for photographers?
Yes. And honestly,
absolutely.
It's one of the biggest.
It is huge.
We fail at getting
we
on
don't
it too
do very
much.
good.
But I constantly get like notifications that somebody saved a pin and stuff. So
the thing is, you have to always think about your website is the main place where you want people to go. So any sort of social media that you're using all requires SEO. And they all are just like the freeway back to your site. So Pinterest is good for photographers because everybody's always looking for inspiration. If you have it linked, you have to have it linked to something though. And I think that's where most photographers have a hard time because
like to a blog post.
Like to a blog post, it needs to be linked to a blog post or I guess you can link it to your site, but those don't really work as well because Pinterest will notice that, and that's not what they want. They want it pinned to an actual like word,
photo on the
photos. They don't want it to just be like advertising. They'll see that as advertising and not push it. But Pinterest is huge, and it can be really, really huge. And it's probably the fastest way, I'd say, to like get immediate results. That, and I'd say Instagram. I know you still like TikTok a lot, but I see more immediate results from Pinterest and Instagram back to the site than any other sort of social media platform.
Let me look real quickly here. If I go to analytics, and it'll tell me what.
Missy, do you have a Pinterest account? Because the other thing with the SEO, you can spend a day and go, just like Sam was saying with the Google business, you can do that to your Pinterest, and you should. It needs to be verified. It needs to be linked back to your site. It needs to be linked to your Facebook. It needs to be linked to your Instagram. You need to make sure that your picture's on there somewhere. Like all those little optimization things that we do on all social media platforms, that kind of stuff will increase your authority as well on Google overall. So they all kind of feed into each other.
So right now, I just pulled up the channels of acquisition, like the overview on Google Analytics. Mm-hmm. Says that Google Organic is our highest ranking. It accounts for 50%.
That makes sense.
Of our web traffic. Then direct, which is just people typing in Samuel Marvin Photography, is 21%. And then Instagram is our top as far as social. It's 5.71%, but it is exactly matched at 5.71% with Pinterest. Facebook is at 4.29%. RSS feed, which is blog post, 2.86%. Yahoo Organic is 2.86%. So TikTok doesn't even.
I told you, no, it doesn't go on there. But an interesting, what you say with that. I don't spend time on Pinterest, not nearly as much as I should. Not nearly as much as I should.
Get to work then.
However, it does go to show, like, I spend a lot of time on Facebook. Now, our Facebook targets are parents. Our Instagram targets are kids. Pinterest kind of hits them both, but I feel like people use that more as inspiration. I don't feel it converts as well. They might come to the site more, but it doesn't convert as well. So that's something else to consider. Like, what is it that they're going? Pinterest actually wants to be known as a search engine. They claim to be a search engine. That's how they are seen. They're not seen as a social media platform. So you have to keep that in mind. They want to be the photo Google, basically.
Yeah.
So people that are going there are looking more for inspiration, where people are coming to Instagram because they want to have their senior pictures done and they want to see if we fit what they're looking for, if that makes sense. So just weigh out the amount of time that you put onto each of the platforms.
Channels.
Yeah, based on how it comes back.
Misty says, thanks, I really dropped the ball with this. Okay, so I'm going to jump from SEO, and we can come back to SEO if anybody has additional questions about it. Tim, I don't want to miss him on this because he hates the Google review thing. I just pulled up Tim's account, and one thing that I do know about this, Tim, and it does become, obviously it's annoying to you because you've voiced it many times. On your website, you have a 5-star Google rating, review rating, It says that you have 3 reviews, but I went through and just counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know that Google does like it marks reviews based on what's the but not validity.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
So it ranks like your reviews, or it oftentimes will only show what it feels is. So for instance, if you get a bot that writes a review on your Google or does a review on your Google, or somebody that just reviews you with just stars, it'll recognize them as less.
Their authority is less.
Yeah, their authority is less, and so sometimes, like for instance, if you go to my Google. I have like 417 Google reviews, but we actually have more than that. We've had clear up to 450 Google reviews, but it basically says that some of them are not, or it recognizes them as less valid, if you will. So. If you want everybody to go send you or put a Google review, everybody can just go type in Tim Goats Photography and leave him a review so that he can see Google reviews do work. Also, that note, and I noticed Tim did a really good job of this, always respond to your Google reviews, because there are statistics that say people that have Google reviews are going to be hired faster or more likely to be hired than somebody who doesn't. But it also punches it up in validity higher if you've responded to those. People want to see that business owners are responding to Google reviews. I suck at that.
Yeah, I don't do it very often either. But there's so many things to do. Like you have to pick your battles.
Exactly.
I don't know if Google does this, but I know with some of the other SEO, they can recognize if it's just a random person that comes and leaves a review. Yeah. Versus somebody who's actually had interactions on your site and then leaves a review. So just be aware of that. Like, don't go out to your friends and be like, hey, I need you to review this. Because
realistically, like if you look at Tim's, his reviews are Samuel Marvin, Kelly Gowdy, Gretchen
I noticed,
Willis.
that's why I brought it up.
Sorry, Tim, you're getting beat up on this because you brought it up. I don't know. So like, Nikisha Wenzel, we had the best experience working with Tim, so that's clearly, hopefully, a client. Gretchen Willis is a local guide.
That's good, though.
Tim has a creative eye and attention to detail. So one of these, either Kelly Gowdy or mine, is probably just not relevant. Relevant, that was the word I was looking for.
See, and I don't even show, mine won't even show yours.
It doesn't?
Nope. I don't have yours on there. I only have three reviews for Tim Goats Photography.
Well, yeah, that's all it shows, but I count 5 on, or 4 on here.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
Oh, and there was the word I was looking for up at the top. It says most relevant.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, Tim, make sure that you're not clicking on one of those sort bys, because you could be clicking on the sort by and just going to highest, and it may not show.
Yeah, I show Kelly, I show Gretchen, and how do you say that? Nikisha.
Nikisha, yeah.
That's
the other thing, Tim, like, you have to get more Google reviews. Like, and that just comes down to you got to ask people for them. Anytime you work with a client, like,
incentivize it.
Incentivize it. I know Google's going to say you're not supposed to do that. Everybody does it. Just like, tell them you'll give them a couple extra teasers on Instagram.
Have them sit there and do it with you right when you're in
the other
session.
thing, there's a lot of people there's a lot of studies and statistics that say if you write out the review for people, like write it out saying, hey, I had a great experience with Tim Goats Photography, and you text it to the client and say, hey, I noticed some of the things you said that you really enjoyed the experience. I'd love it if you'd leave a review. I wrote something up for you to make it easy. Here's a link to my review. On our website, we talk about this, like making the pathway to such really easy. And that helps. The other option you can do is sign up for Leads Pro, because Leads Pro has an awesome automatic review request, and it keeps track of all your reviews for you. So you could do that too.
So what, I think you kind of hit that though. So what's the trick to writing a review? There's lots of places online that you can put that in.
Yeah,
and
and it
they'll give you
doesn't
different
it
ideas.
doesn't have to be special. Google is going to recognize them as relevant, like whether they're relevant or not.
Right.
You just have to. You can't worry so much about the ones that have been written that just haven't shown up. Um, I mean, without question, there's people that are going to say that they left reviews, but they don't ever like you don't see them, and it's because people either just didn't hit confirm or submit this review. Sometimes people will just tell you that, but just ask for the reviews. And I always suggest to people this: if you go to, I think our Google workbook, we have the one that's free on the website. The one thing that I always suggest is ask for the review at the height of the experience for the people. If you just got done with the session, ask for the review then, because people are just jonesing about you, and make it easy. So go find the link to your review, and that's easy. That's as easy as going into Google, typing in Tim Goats Photography, and then going down, and you can say you can go to reviews. And you can view all Google reviews, and then why does his not show? There's a thing. Oh, I think you have to be in your own page. When you manage the page, there's a thing that says the link to reviews, and you can or ask people to leave a review. And there's a quick link, and that's where you get the link that takes people directly to your Google reviews. Don't ask people to leave a review and then go try to find out how to get to your website to leave a review. Because they're going to start by like typing in Google, leave a review for Tim Goats Photography. And it's just going to be so much work to find it that it's like people aren't going to do it. So make the pathway simple and easy, like cut and dry. I specifically, and I've told you guys this a lot before, I have a link that just automatically goes to my website that says, did you have a good experience? Yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down. If they click thumbs up, then it takes them to the Google link. If they click no, it says, what can we do differently? And it allows them to send us an email saying what we didn't do well. So therefore, hopefully not leaving us a bad review. We still occasionally get some crappy reviews. So that's because Mia pissed him off, though. I'm just kidding. So anyway, that's kind of. I know that this one like annoys the heck out of you, but put in just a little bit more effort, and I promise you, it'll get better. And it does help. We get a ton of referral traffic just from our reviews on Google, just because we have a high number of reviews.
And I think Tim has, or at least I'll just talk to Tim. He has clients that have come back even just recently that like have had previous children go through and now they're coming through again. There's nothing wrong with going to them and saying, same. Hey, you guys help. Can you help? And like just make these reviews. So try and use some of those relationships that you've already established.
And another thing a lot of times people will do is they will send out that like kind of generic review or find clients that they've worked with that have been great, and they'll send them an email or a text message saying, hey, I'm trying to grow my business, would love your help. You were integral in helping me grow my business. Would you please leave a review? I made it really simple. Here's the information.
Here's the link.
Yeah. And maybe even write out 5 different review options for what, like what they might say, and say, I tried to make it as easy as I could. Here's some options to choose from for what you could write.
Just be careful with that, because if people use the same wording over and over again.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you can write them to specific people and just, So, and that's why, like, if you are doing it for somebody specific, what the experience was like. What, like, was the height of, for instance, we did a shoot with a girl the other day, and their biggest request was that they got a horse. And mom just absolutely loved it. And so, I would venture to say that I could write a review based on like how we hit all those things, and we had an automatic email that goes out the day after the session that asks them, how was your experience? Did we do everything you wanted us to do? Did we listen to your request? So it's already asking all those questions that would help me give them a sample review if I wanted to. And it also says, please make sure to leave a review.
Yeah.
So, okay. Next question. Do we have any more?
I have, what are 3 things you wish you had done differently? Let's add this year so far.
This year?
Yeah.
Change the weather.
No, you would do differently. You don't have control over the weather.
I wish that I would have done differently this year. I don't know. Things that just
Maybe you don't
business
have any.
specific.
I don't know. I'm just giving you something.
Differently this year. I don't know. You stumped me on this one.
Woohoo!
I don't know that I have anything specific that I wish I would have done different this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
Next. Here, I'll share this. Here, put it over here real quick so they can see this.
What are you showing?
For Misty. So this is one of the things that I do to help me with my SEO for keywords.
Hold it in a little closer
Right
so
here?
that it actually, because it's not visible on that bright green.
Is it hard? Or
Yeah, it's
you want me to
harder.
move back? Okay, maybe
Yeah,
you
go
can't
back
see
a
it.
little bit, a little more. There.
Right there?
It's starting to focus on it. Go back just a tiny bit more.
Right there?
Yep.
Okay, so get yourself some little index cards and go to your competitors. Like, you don't have to have a fancy SEO thing to search. It does help, but you have to pay for it. So just go to your competitor's website and find keywords that, like, if you were, I was having a conversation with someone, people think of keywords as the things that you have in your site. It's actually what people are, I'm putting that down, my arm's hurting. It's actually what people type into Google. So think of yourself in that position as the senior, and what would I type into Google to find the result? So if I want to say, who's the best photographer in town, you'd add the town, like, who's the best photographer in Boise? That is a key phrase. So see if you can go through their sites and find those things and then write them down. You probably won't have the percentages like you saw on there. You saw volume and percentages. That kind of stuff you won't get unless you have like a paid program. But if you leave them, I put them on 2 little index cards and I have them all sorted out. So then when I go to do a particular blog post or something, I have a bunch of keywords that are related to that blog post just right there in front of me. So as I'm typing, I know to incorporate those phrases or those words into my blog post rather than just hoping I'm coming up with words or saying I want like 1 keyword, because you really have to have a gazillion keywords. The keywords or the phrases are the same thing. So that's just something that might be back to that SEO thing that might help you when you write your blog posts to keep all those key phrases and words relevant and right in front of you so that you have them in your blog post. Because if they're not in the blog post, there's no way for Google to link them.
You can also use the Google Keyword Planner.
Yeah, I think you only get so many.
Oh,
I think
really?
you can only do so much on that a day before they're like.
Really?
I thought so, but maybe not. I don't know.
And you can actually click on like start with a website. So you can enter a website or a page to find keywords that match your site. So for instance, like you could type in your competitors, like pages, and or if you know somebody that, like, here's a good example. Let's just try escape rooms Boise. And then it will show me, like, if I grab like the top person that's not a sponsored. So like, if I just grab this link, maybe, and then I take it into there, you can start with a.
Can you show people what you're doing? Because I don't even have a clue what you're doing.
Yeah. Let me see if I can link it up. Okay. So, okay. So let's see. So let me real quickly just go in here. So if you just type in Google keyword planner, choose the right keywords with our research tool, and then just go to keyword planner. It takes you in here. It's a free service, so and then you can do like organize keywords into ad groups, get search volume. I just click on discover new keywords. And if you start with a website, like I can put in an escape room that's a competing site that showed up at the top of that. And then it shows you, that's maybe not right there. Cause that shows Detroit, Oak Brook. Wow. Why did it go there? Enter a location of target, Boise, Idaho. And then that didn't work. Anyway, you can kind of play around with it and see like the
the other thing too, like, oh, are you not done?
No, I'm gonna type in. I gotta find their website though. Labyrinth. I'm giving everybody all the escape rooms that we compete with here. Oh, does it help if I put escape rooms? Okay. Now, if I go to their website and I just highlight that part, I go into keyword planner. Did I put it into the wrong part? Okay. Get results. So, so this is like, obviously these ones have their name in it, but then you get down into like escape rooms Nampa, and these are all just keywords. Escape room in Boise, Boise escape room, Treasure Valley escape rooms. Like that just kind of shows you their keywords. Again, I don't know how detailed it gets in like what Mia looks at on SEMrush, but yeah, that's just kind of to give you a little idea. There's free options out there if you go play with it.
You can also literally go to Google and type in, like if you were to go to Google right now and put like senior pictures. You can do this on Pinterest too. I do this on Pinterest all the time. It's going to give you a list of like other things.
Senior pictures what?
Right there. Like stop. Just look at your list.
Oh.
Senior pictures, Boise, senior pictures near me. See, these are all words or phrases, those key phrases that other people are actually typing in on Google. So those are all things that you should just screenshot that and make sure all those things are in your different blog posts. Like,
yeah,
it can be as simple as that. You don't have to know all the details to it unless you really want to go crazy.
And this is one that's fun that like I think a lot of people miss out on is just like senior pictures near me.
Yeah, everybody caught on about 4 or 5 months ago though.
Oh.
So.
Well then, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, check your area and see if it's working in your area, but.
So, okay. Anything else? I just like that was a lot of. Let's go back to there. Okay, and do we have any other questions?
No, everybody's pretty quiet.
No, everybody's quiet. Oh, and we've been on for an hour. Holy crap. How do we do that? Okay, any last questions before we close this up? Because I don't want to take up too much of your time, even though you're still here hanging out with us. I appreciate it. So, yeah, if you have any last questions, comment quickly or just comment. Say I do.
If you come up with questions, put them in the Facebook group.
Yeah, put them in the Facebook group or even just message them to that text number.
But if they're in the Facebook group, other people can engage in that too. And you'll get a lot of ideas.
Misty says, I have some work to do with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a never-ending battle.
It is a never-ending battle. Like, it's just part of what you do. It's just exercise. You just have to keep doing it.
So that's what's wrong, because I don't do that either.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to close this up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was beneficial. Tim, don't give up on Google reviews. I promise you can do it. You can do it, Tim. It works, I promise. Maybe you shouldn't ever listen to anything I say, because I led you astray on Google reviews and on mailers.
There's a gazillion ways to get to.
Is that why Tim doesn't love me anymore?
Probably.
I see the way it is. Okay. I'm not, just have to force myself to. Okay. All right, guys. Don't have too much fun out there. And let's not even bring out those mailers. I apologize. I didn't mean to. Okay. Peace out, Girl Scout. Let's switch to that.